Hello, hello. That's probably a bit better. Actually got a connected mic now. So try that again. So, like I was saying, just going through basically sort of different positions I've held throughout my life and sort of my thoughts and opinions on what I what I hold now, what thoughts I hold now. Again, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong about everything that I think, but at the same time, um, don't think I am. And if you disagree or want to challenge it in any way, or if you agree, then let me know in the chat. But yeah, so getting into it, as I was growing up, I appreciate it. As I was growing up, I would have said I would have been more in the centre of things, like politically wise, just because I don't really think I was too into like, hello, 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 appreciate it. But yeah, growing up like in school, I wouldn't have said that I particularly like had a political persuasion. If anything, I'd say centre. Like I was proud to be English. Like you always hear about sort of World War Two stories and things like that. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I mean, I can't even pronounce it. Have to go, but no, I appreciate it. And yeah, for instance, like I always remember watching things like Band of Brothers and Saving Private Ryan, but every Christmas watching things like The Great Escape. Hey, how's it going? Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Um, but yeah, so growing up didn't really have much of a political persuasion either way. Then as you get into sixth form years, I think I went more towards the left because of the sort of area I grew up in, very middle class white area, like some like, and then you get like I tried to stay out of it to an extent. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for subbing. Thank you very much. Let me know if you what your thoughts are as well. Appreciate your messages. Appreciate you in the chat, and thank you very much. Um, but yeah, it went more left wing. But I tried to avoid things like protests and stuff like that because my dad, as a police officer, had basically warned me that if you go to a protest, they will be recording you, and if you make any stupid decisions while you're at that protest, you will get a knock at the door later. And I remember that good advice from him. And every time there was a protest for a cause I didn't really know that much about, I just didn't go because I don't want to get swept up in the crowd mentality of making a stupid mistake just because everyone else is. Um, and I think that that's probably a good attitude to go for. But as I got older, I so like that sort of university age, sort of stuck along that side. I'd say the point where like people I knew would be interested in or talking about things like socialism, communism, and that sort of stuff. And hello, hello, appreciate it. Are you back? You back? Nice. But yeah, so like people I know and were friends with like socialism and communism and things like that. And my response to them would always be, that would be nice, but we aren't ants. Because although ants can share and work together and build a colony like that, people have ambition. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. But yeah, people have ambition. People want to achieve. Not everyone wants to sit around and contribute the same amount and get a little bit of the same amount back. Different people are going to want to put in different amounts of work to get a different result. So that's why you get billionaires, and then people all the way down to people in poverty. Like, obviously, it's not always a choice, but at the same time, you do get out what you put in. So when you're working hard, you do get back. As I grew up, then I think working more, getting into the actual workforce. I went into and realised how much you pay in taxes already. And when you start to see, we're working full time, doing lots of hours, and you start to see, appreciate it. Thank you very much. I like I like it. Um, but yeah, start to see the what's already coming out, what you actually get for your money. Like you're driving to work on pothole roads, and yet you're paying road tax and insurance and everything else, as well as paying the tax to the government for things. And meanwhile, that just sort of triggers that mentality of, well, I'm already paying, people aren't working and they're getting, and then you're seeing them basically able to do mostly what they want. Obviously, it's not a fantastic work, like, but again, some people do manipulate the system, like to get more. Fluffy unicorn, how you doing? Fluffy unicorn. But yeah, so as I was working, I think I sort of moved more to the center right or back to the center because it just kind of helped me realize. I've tried to find your channel for a while because I saw you live before. Appreciate it. That was yesterday, first live I had. And then today, yeah, going live again. So making another little video, just going through some of my positions where I've sort of been in life. And sort of, if people agree, they agree. If they want to put in the chat, they don't. They don't. Then feel free to disagree. And let me know what you think. But yeah, JN42922. Appreciate that too. Appreciate it, pink fluffy unicorn. But yeah, so we've got the so yeah, working moved back more to the centre rather than being on the left because I realised that I was getting swept up into that mentality. Because as a student, you get a lot of things for free, and it's a really easy life. And it's not until you actually have to start working and paying for things that you realise how tough life can be. So I think that that's something that sort of put me back into reality. Appreciate it. And then and hello from Ireland. Hey Eddie Mackie. How you doing? Hope you're having a good evening. But yeah, so after that, working for years and years, and then working my way up the old corporate ladder, just in my regular job, UTK United Kingdom. Yeah. So I did actually watch that rally. I didn't get a chance to go because I wasn't able to get there to London, but I did watch it on live on YouTube throughout the day, and I thought that there was some things I did agree with, some things I didn't agree with from the different speakers. But at the same time, it looked like a rally of people coming together because they're not happy with how the system is or how the country is at the moment. So yeah, and over over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, like seeing stuff coming out on YouTube. So to the point where I used to watch and follow, or still watch and follow Russell Brand, like, but I had done since he was in movies and a comedian back in the day, and all the way through to his left wing, the Trues, all the way through that, all the way through to not being about, and then coming back, and now his current things as well. Thank you very much, appreciate it. That is due to my wife and Charlie Kirk, actually. So my wife has been pushing me for years and years and years to actually start reading the Bible, get into Jesus. And then it wasn't until the Charlie Kirk assassination that it motivated me to start reading. And that's why I keep that right there. So I've started to read through it to get a better understanding, to learn, basically. So, and it also then helps me to, because again, just going back, like sidetrack now, but as a kid, grew up going to church. Parents took us to church, and although moved away from it, like as I grew up, like just because I think that's just part of what happens. Um, and then with society as well, like it's not really encouraged. It's a lot more pressure about not. Um, yeah, like it's been. I've already got written a bunch of questions that I've had come out from it. But I find that reading it has been relaxing. I try and do a chapter a night so that I'm not overwhelming myself because I know, especially with the Old Testament, it can be a bit much. That's what I would like to go one day. Go whenever you like. The church, pretty much any church you go to, like as long as it's a normal regular church, like they will just be normal regular people, friendly, inviting. Probably have tea and biscuits afterwards, like depending on where you are. If you're in England, there'll probably be tea and biscuits. Um, the only thing I would say is try not to go to one where they're pushing donations, right, and pushing getting your details to sign you up for anything. Because I personally, I don't like that attitude of trying to convert people. And I have been to churches like that where they are very keen to get you on their email list, get you on this, that, and the other, sign you up for this, that, or the other course. No, no, no. I much prefer a church where it's go there, just read some script, read some Bible, discuss it, like they talk about it. Wife loves songs, but at the same time, that's just well, I'm not a huge fan of the songs, but at the same time, I do find it's interesting. Um, the other thing I think that people don't think about church is that although it's weekly, you don't have to go every week and feel like, oh, I haven't been for a couple of weeks, they're going to judge me. They'll just be happy to see you back. They'll just be happy to see that you've come back. Like, oh, how you been? Yeah, everything okay? Yeah, cool. Or at least if you're in a good church, they'll be supportive and encouraging like that. Yeah, yeah, yes, it is very frustrating. I understand that I've already read a bit about the tithe in the Bible, but again, I feel like that is meant to be more a case of you donating to something that you believe in or like care about if you can. And again, that's from what you've got. Like I was looking at food prices recently, and they have skyrocketed. And they were saying about how the prices have come down a little bit recently, but I could not tell you that for certain. But either way, getting back on track after the little sidetrack. I appreciate it though. So gone back to centre, and now I would say after being employed for so long in a system and realizing that actually I kind of like capitalism. The harder you work, the more you earn. If you work for yourself and put in that effort, you can build something for yourself as well. I would say I'm now probably more centre right. But again, like I don't really know anymore just because of how people define it and sort of the way it's shifted. Because the left didn't used to be what it is now. So either way, the other thing that I think that has been sort of taken advantage of British values. So the British values were democracy, rule of law, individual liberties, mutual respect, and tolerance. And frankly, the democracy, things like Brexit, as someone who actually voted against Brexit, when it was voted for and succeeded, I thought, fair enough. I'm very disappointed. However, that's fine. They won. I do not think that it has actually been carried out. I think that it is something that's been bastardized and just watered down to a considerable extent to the point where Brexit has been done in sort of name only. I think that being a part of the ECHR, European Court for Human Rights, is stopping us from being able to deal with the issues in the country effectively and properly. Um, and a lot of, as you can see, with things like these marches, protests, and everything else that's been going on, clearly there is an issue in the country and it's not being addressed through democracy. Rule of law. So this was something that kind of came up from today as something that obviously has been something that's come out um, in the news recently. So like with Jess Phillips today. Thank you very much. Appreciate the subscribe. Appreciate it. So yeah, with Jess Phillips in the House of Commons today, and the grooming gang inquiry, rape gang inquiry, they are not actively. Basically, they're doing a terrible job. People are leaving. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hi, cricket player. Hi, Diane in the builds. Appreciate it. But yeah, so the grooming gang inquiry, rape gang inquiry, they aren't investigating it properly. I think I saw on GB News earlier one of the survivors saying that they think that someone from outside the UK should be brought in, and quite frankly, I thought that was actually a very good idea. I think that an American judge would potentially be. What job centre is this? Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I think that a judge from outside the country would be a great option. I think that they would be um, able to judge it a lot more impartially than someone who comes from within, because clearly people from within the system were people who let down in the first place and aren't going to be necessarily trusted to carry it out effectively and impartially this time around. So just my opinion. So again, that, and then alongside that, with the two-tier sort of nature of things lately, like there's so many times where things are, oh, that's all right, no worries, Pink Fluffy, enjoy, have a good one tomorrow, understand. Um, but the yeah two-tier system. So like with things like the hate speech laws and stuff like that. Thank you very much. Obviously, the police have finally said they're going to stop investigating non-crime speech incidents, but they will still record them. So people still report them and they'll still be recorded. And apparently that's because it's to do with the laws on the books, and if they don't, then they will be potentially have it come back on them later. But again, it's one of those things where I think that's something that potentially needs to change because with things like the thank you very much, with things like the hate speech laws that we have, it's very broadly encompassing to the point where it will cover all of someone's personal characteristics, sex, gender, religion, ideology, etc. So that, for instance, if you were to make fun of me for being a white Christian man, and I took or perceived offence or threat from it, that would potentially be considered hate speech. However, I don't feel like that works in every way in all directions, and probably shouldn't, because the perception of uh, what someone is saying can vary drastically from person to person. I think it's too vague to be able to actually legitimately monitor and maintain. Whereas I think that the sort of Americans' free speech is a much more legitimate way to do it. So having things like where you can't incite violence, you can't um, like you can still be sued for things like defamation and things like that, but there's a much higher bar, and there's not going to be that, well, frankly, currently in factor of having the police turn up at your house for pretty much anything. Um, and it's about intent as well, rather than what the perceived intent is. So then you've got individual liberties. So again, I thought this meant to each their own until it impacts someone else. But again, with things like I've been watching someone called Edge of the Matrix a lot recently, and he has been really good in sort of explaining things like the transgender ideology, making sure explaining things like that, and how that can impact on other people. I've seen other people as well talking about it, but his is such a good, calm way of speaking about it and about how it can affect children, how it can affect women in women's sports and in safe spaces and things like that. That it's just been so refreshing to hear that sort of perspective rather than having it as like again a shouting match because people don't get convinced or talked to and like change have their mind changed through them shouting at you. But the way he does explain it is very fair and understandable. And then for the fact that I'm from England, from the UK, about an hour from London. So and then the so that was that. There's also the fact that nice to meet you too. Appreciate it. Hey, hi. And then so the other part of that was um, the way it can potentially affect people who are gay and lesbian, like people who might just turn out to be that way, being convinced that they're into it in a different body, to then take gender reassignment surgery or medication, and thinking about it from the perspective of it being like a body dysmorphia, we don't allow steroids for regular consumption and use. So, because of the side effects that it can have, just to accommodate someone's belief. So, I don't know why there's such a push for the medicalization of people for gender. I feel like that goes too far and does impact on a lot of people. So not only the people that could impact outside of, but the actual people who are being convinced to transition when they could have potentially ended up very happy and healthy later on down the line without any kind of surgery or medication. The other one, mutual respect, from Azerbaijan. Nice to hear from you. Nice to see your message in the chat. Appreciate it. Let me know what your thoughts are on what I'm saying. If you agree, disagree, want to discuss it further, let me know. Mutual respect. So again, that is having that tolerance to basically let people get along. Not interrupt it, like not interfering with someone else's life when it doesn't affect you. However, and treating people with the sort of respect you'd want to be treated with. Then tolerance. So it does specifically say faith and beliefs. So, and I think that that is going to be true to an extent. So I think that you should be tolerant of other people's faiths and beliefs. However, you should also be able to ask questions and criticize the issues if you find them or have questions or want to criticize them. So, like I said before, I've been reading the Bible. I think that I have written down a bunch of questions that I've got. Some of them are probably not the best questions, but then I have those questions, so I'm going to be asking them. But that's on another channel, so I'll be asking them on that one. But